Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna-Vandana. Vasudeva sutam devam kansachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki. O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Jagat Guru Sri Krishna is teaching us in this 18th adhyaya of Moksha Sannyasa Yoga the different dimensions of knowledge, the different types of knowledge depending upon the gunas which predominate that knowledge. Sri Krishna has taught us about the sattvika knowledge. Sri Krishna has taught us about the rajasic knowledge. The sattvika knowledge which doesn't, although it outwardly it says, yes, things are all diverse, but the sattvika knowledge understands that there is something uniting this diverse creation. These diverse creatures in this creation, they are all united by one single principle. That knowledge is the sattvika knowledge. The rajasic knowledge doesn't accept this, the fact of unity in diversity. The rajasic knowledge sees only diverse things. And in that diverse things, the rajasic knowledge, it makes one feel that I am the superior most. Even to the extent that they start thinking, my Atman is the superior most than other Atmans. They have this kind of differentiation. They believe in this differentiation of me being superior and others being inferior, of my Atman being a very high, very, very evolved level. Other Atmans, they are all a bit downgraded. So this is what the Sri Krishna had mentioned, taught to us in last two verses of the Sattvika Jnana and the Rajasika Jnana. Rajasika Jnana, he had said that Pratatvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan pratak vidhan vetti sarveshu bhuteshu tat jnanam viddhi rajasam. Vetti sarveshu bhuteshu pruthatvena. But that jnana, tu jnanam, tu yat jnanam, vetti sarva bhuteshu, that jnana which makes us know that all the beings are pruthatvena, they are distinct. And not only the beings are distinct, externally we also know that yes, they are distinct. But the rajas predominant knowledge, the rajasic knowledge, thinks something even more than that. The sarveshu bhuteshu pruthaktven, yes, even the sattvika knowledge understands that, accepts it, that all the bhutas are distinct, that all the bhutas are diverse, all the multitudes of beings are diverse. But sattvika person, sattvika knowledge understands there is one uniting factor in all these diverse creations. But what about the Rajasic? Rajasic feels Nana Bhavan Prithak Vidhan, even the indweller in these Sarveshu Bhuteshu, who are already Pruthatvena, the Nana Bhavan Prithak Vidhan, their attitudes, their natures, their internal beings, Bhavan, the different internal beings are also of a different kinds and different types. That is the Rajasic knowledge. Rajasic knowledge doesn't see unity at all. It is only the diversity, and in that diversity, I am the supreme most. And at the end of reading 21st verse, we had also read Sri Ramakrishna's teaching about his single line comment on what is the sattvic knowledge, what is the rajasic knowledge. Seeing unity is knowledge, as in the sattvic knowledge. Seeing unity in diversity, that is the true knowledge, that is the sattvic knowledge. And seeing diversity is ignorance. So, like the rajasic knowledge sees diversity everywhere, and there is some kind of ignorance attached to this rajasic knowledge. Now that is as far as the sattvic and rajasic type of knowledge based on the two predominant gunas in this prakriti. Now prakriti has three gunas: sattva, rajas, tamas. Now if that is the distinction between knowledge as far as the sattva guna is concerned predominant, as far as the rajas guna predominant is concerned, what about the tamas guna? Because as it is, the hierarchical positioning of these three gunas in the prakriti, it is carrying within it all these three gunas, and each and everything is in this prakriti is governed by the predominance of three gunas. If sattva guna is predominant, there is nothing but purity, there is nothing but holiness, there is nothing but serenity associated with the sattva guna. The rajas guna is nothing but activity, do that for the benefit of the self. In that process, if someone is getting hurt, the rajas predominant guna will not bother about it. And tamas is the lowliest of the three gunas. The tamas predominant, tamas predominant is nothing but agony and pain and misery and grief. Now if that is the thing, what about the effect of this tamas guna on the jnana as such? If sattvic jnana makes us understand the unity in this diversity, the rajasic jnana makes us forget this university and this unity, and we only see the diversity. What is this tamas jnana? Now let us learn from Sri Krishna himself. He is going to teach us in this 22nd shloka. Yattu kṛitsna-vad ekasmin kārye saktam ahaitukam atattvārtha-vad alpaṁ tāmasam udāhṛitam. Tamasam udāhṛitam. Now that knowledge is called as tamasic knowledge. Now which is that knowledge? Yattu, but that which, but that knowledge which kṛitsna-vad ekasmin kārye saktam ahaitukam atattvārtha-vad alpaṁ. Now kṛitsna-vad is as if it were the whole thing. Kṛitsna-vad, kṛitsna is whole, as if that single end. Kṛitsna-vad ekasmin kārye. Ekasmin kārye is that one single entity, that one single effect, that one single aspect. That knowledge which blows this one single aspect as if it were the whole. It is not the whole is there in all these aspects, but that one single aspect, that one single entity, that one single effect, which is seen as the whole. Kṛitsna-vad ekasmin kārye saktam ahaitukam. And that single, which seen, the single object seen as the whole thing, single aspect seen as the only important thing in this universe, and with all the attachment attached to that viewpoint, and which again that knowledge is ahaitukam, which is illogical, which doesn't have any reason behind it. Why it is so? There is no reason. I feel it, that's why it is so, and I feel it, that's why it has to be true. That my attachment to that one small thing, which I am glorifying as the whole thing. that the attachment, which is absolutely illogical. Atattvārtha-vad alpaṁ cha. Atattvārtha. Without foundation in truth. There is no truth in that. There is no basis for that. Atattvārtam. There is no logic in it. Just saying, oh, that is the best thing in this universe. That kind of attitude, which is seeing a smallest, the tiniest, the lowliest thing as if it is the whole of the whole creation. That mean-mindedness, for that matter, that ahaitukam, without any reasoning, without any logic, atattvārtha-vad, alpaṁ cha, and also trivial logic, although trivial way of explanation, that knowledge, Sri Krishna says, tāmasam udāhṛitam. That kind of knowledge is explained, is declared as the tamasic knowledge. Now, while the sattvic knowledge, it accepts the diversity and realizes the oneness in that diversity. That is the sattvic knowledge. The rajasic knowledge doesn't accept oneness, doesn't accept unity in diversity. It is only diversity and diversity. And what about the tamasic? Tamasic doesn't see diversity also. From the tamasic perspective, I am the only whole and soul. I am the only one. I am the chief. I am the supreme. I am the only being, for that matter. From the tamasic perspective, all other beings, they do not exist as such. Only I am true. I am the biggest. I am the supremost. Others don't exist at all from that tamasic perspective. So look at these three kind of perspectives. One sees this entire wide multitudes of creatures in this creation and believes, understands, accepts and recognizes that all these multitudes are they're held together by one uniting force, that Paramatman. The Jivatman, who is dwelling in all the beings, has descended from that Paramatman, part and parcel of that Parabrahman. This is their understanding, this is their realization. They see some unity in that diversity. The Rajasic one, they accept diversity. Yes, all these creatures are diverse, but then they don't accept unity in diversity. They say, I am different. My Atman is different from your Atman. That is their ignorant understanding. That is their immature way of looking at the reality. They don't realize, they don't have a notion of the reality at all. And what about the tamasic? Shri Krishna told us. The tamasic one holds on to his own entity at all cost. For tamasic person, that small, tiny, insignificant, temporary, ephemeral existence is the only existence. All other things are immaterial for the tamasic perspective. Me and mine. And to some extent, even not mine, only me. That is the difference in perception of perception with the sattvic knowledge, with the rajasic knowledge, and with the tamasic knowledge. It is like the sattvic knowledge. It talks about we as one. It talks of we as one. The rajasic knowledge, it says we are all different, accepts we. But we are all different. I am different, you are different, one inside me is different, one inside you is different. That is the tamasic perspective. Tamasic, like sattvic perspective, it accepts we are different, but there is something, one uniting force. Although we are different, we are one. We are all the part of this creation. We are all carrying that same undying, indivisible principle within us. That is the sattvic perspective. The rajasic perspective, we are all there. Yes, I agree. But we are all distinctly different. That is the rajasic perspective. And the tamasic perspective, there is no we, there is only I. So look at this three levels of knowledge that Sri Krishna has so beautifully explained in these three shlokas, that even the knowledge is of three types: the sattvic, the rajasic, and the one we have seen here as the tamasic one. And the knowledge that clings to one single effect as if it were the whole, that knowledge which is without any reason, that knowledge which is without any foundation in truth, and that knowledge which is trivial, alpaṁ, that knowledge is declared to be tamasic. So everything clear as far as the knowledge aspect is concerned of this triad of knowledge, karma and karta. So there are people who believe that their individuality is confined to the physical frame made of 5 elements. They have that understanding that yes, my physical entity is comprised of 5 elements of air, water, fire, ether, and the panchamahabhuta. The perishing matter is mistaken for the persisting principle, but they are so ignorant. Their level of ignorance is much worse than even the rajasic perspective. Their level of ignorance, although they know that it is comprised of these perishable, this body is comprised of these perishable elements, the pancha mahabhuta, which are going to die one day, but still they are so much stuck with that idea of that I am the ultimate one, I am the whole and soul. Their perishing they mistake this perishing matter to be the undying principle. They don't have that, and there is no reasoning for that matter. There is no reasoning, there is no logic, and it is such a feeble kind of perception. It is absolutely without any reason, without any logic, without any foundation of truth in it. Just a whim. That is their whim. An image is merely an aid for the worship of God, just as a map is an aid for knowing the geography. But the ignorant man thinks that the image itself made of metal or of wood or of clay to be God. Now that is the distinction between the tamasic way of understanding the things. Now normally on the path of bhakti, there is something called as, there is dvaita, vishishtadvaita, advaita. The Dvaitin will have an idol, will keep on worshipping it, offer flowers, put incense sticks. But the person with the sattvika knowledge knows that that idol, that image is just kind of a representation of that whole, representation of that ultimate being. I am putting flowers, I am putting incense stick, I am putting the lamp, I am worshipping that image. But that image is representation of that nirakar tattva, that sakar image, that saguna image is just a representation of that nirguna Brahman. That is their level of understanding. But the tamasic person will consider that image to be whole and soul, this body to be whole and soul. That is their level of understanding, that is their level of perception. If the image be mutilated, he feels God has been despoiled. If something happens to that image, something happens to that idol, oh my God has got hurt. How can God get hurt? How can God become get any kind of injury? It can never happen. The attitude is an evidence to the fact that he clings to one single effect as if it is the whole. And that is what Sri Krishna told, that kṛitsna-vat ekasmin kārye. That single effect, this person will think as the whole thing. Me, I am the whole. My body may die, but so what? So what? This body is created of 5, pancha mahabhuta. I will keep on surviving. This body may die, but I will take another body. So what? He doesn't have that kind of depth of knowledge, to understand that how the Jivatman rejects one body, how the Jivatman discards one body to get another body for the spiritual upliftment, for the spiritual evolution. That concept is not at all in the mind of the tamasic endowed person. That this concept is not at all understood by the tamasic knowledge. He imagines himself a self-appointed champion of God and defender of faith. That is what happens with the tamasic knowledge. Then the tamasic person feels, I have to do everything. I have to take care of everything for that matter. And why should I take care of everything? Because there are no other things, only I am there. So with that limited perspective, with that tainted understanding, with that feeble understanding which doesn't have any base of truth, which doesn't have any logic, which doesn't have any reasoning for that matter, these people, they just keep on thriving till the time their end comes. So whims and fancies as they are, they have to be treated as trivial for the people with the tamasic knowledge. Nothing good comes out of such baseless understanding. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.